Good afternoon, everyone. This is Kamal from Salesforce. Thank you very much. Absolutely excited to be a part of this August gathering and to be presenting at the GCC Summit. So we at Salesforce, are primarily going to be talking about what is Salesforce. I think many of you don't really need that introduction, but I'll probably touch on that a little bit and then get into what we have for GCCs as an offering, what are we doing with them in the country, and then probably walk you through, a customer case study that we've really worked through and, the process of maturity of that relationship itself. So Salesforce is a market leader. We've been, we are the fastest growing cloud, services provider out there. We are a SaaS leader. We're a leader in innovation, and this really talks about the numbers that are out there. But clearly, the vision of this organization started in being absolutely having no software. We're a pioneer in the SaaS model. Today, we have almost close to 200,000 customers globally. We're a leader in innovation in all our products that we have, and that we really credit to the customer 360 that we talk about. Be it sales, be it service, marketing, and the complete gamut of products that we really offer. And in customer 360, it's our customer's customer. How can we make in the business of doing business, how the life of our customers become very, very easy. You create that experience for your customer and how you lead it, right? That's something that we really take a lot of pride in. We've been rated as the best employer across the world. We're a leader in philanthropy with our 1-1-1 model. We really work on that. Now, coming specifically to India, Salesforce in India really started about 10, 12 years back, where we started off very small. And I'd like to really give this anecdote. I complete about 10 years. I completed 10 years, 2 days back at Salesforce. So when I joined, I was second employee. When I would really go into any enterprise in India, the question that would be told or asked to me saying that, hey, you should probably be selling to small and medium companies. You would really not scale amongst the really big behemoths in CRM that are out there. But come today, we are a customer platform. We're a platform company. We do provide the whole customer 360 and entire, one view of your customer. And today, when we go, we really hear that, Salesforce is an absolute enterprise organization. But we do straddle across the spectrum, right from, small boutiques to the largest enterprises in this organization, in this country. Right. But what we've also seen over the years is that growth in our technology and support organizations. We're about 5,000 people today in India, planning to grow that multifold over the years. We have centers in Hyderabad, which is probably our largest center that we have today. We have a fairly big center in Bangalore. And then we have offices in Delhi and Mumbai, right? So that's how we're seeing growth. And we are really scaling up on all sides of the organization, right? And when we are doing this, what we've also realized is working with GCCs has probably been something that we've done in relation with our global, counterparts. Because large organizations, when we take the, MNCs, which are probably setting up shops in India, and in that, we've also seen that, there is a maturity curve that comes in a GCC when they come into India, right? They probably come as an operations center, then they're starting to add value and move up the value chain. There's technology that is added. There's go-to-market solutions that are getting added. They're probably also doing, innovative stuff. And India becomes like the lab, so to say, that is a template that can be created, can be followed into other regions and taken globally as well. So that's something that we're seeing. And then some of these organizations also work with their sales and distribution organizations within the country and how we scale, right? So we're seeing that whole maturity that is happening, and probably contracting happens at the headquarters, and then, probably it comes into India. And we were doing that, in a very piecemeal basis or account to account basis. There was no one concerted effort. In terms of how do we really look at we can give them that experience that they're talking to one Salesforce. So it was important for us as an organization to work with our global teams, with our own organizations, and provide that value across various aspects. So on that note, what we did was we came up with the GCC program at Salesforce. We put a very simple vision about 18 months back, where we said that we will pilot this with a few set of accounts, which we probably started and build trusted long-term relationships, right? And the key thing was around customer success. If you probably have a footprint of Salesforce in your organization, how do we really help you in understanding what you can get best out of those licenses or the technology stack that's out there? And I'll probably tell you that it's very important, because that gives, increases the overall value that Salesforce benefits, because what is done here in the GCC really also amplifies from a success value to the global teams as well, right? That's number one. Number two is going into a transformation mode, right? If there is a new project, you're looking at what do we probably do? Can we provide support from here? Can we provide in terms of technology, in terms of pre-sales? Can we do all of that? That's another one that we really are looking at in terms of how we can provide transformation. And finally, innovate, right? Looking at newer products, newer use cases. What can we do? What's being done at other places, providing that information. So we started with this vision, and we're continuing it, and we're seeing some great success, right? This is probably one of the fastest growing teams within Salesforce, and we're seeing some great success. But before we go into what we are doing, the whole GCC opportunity for a GCC, how do we unlock that power of innovation and transformation? This is a team that we really said when we set up, it is not about, product sale for us, right? It is about success. It is about innovation. It is about transformation. So for a GCC, how do they enhance their own corporate agility? How do they free up more resources from moving from being a pure operational play to a strategic play, right? How do they take it, in terms of faster go-to-market? How do they reduce, risk in terms of if they get started with an initiative? How can they really help? How can they, really take part in those decisions that are made from the regional CIO's office or the global CIO's office? How can they probably do? And then, adoption of these new technologies, how can we do that better? And then overall is the ROI. Can I get, capacity as well as capability in the country? It could be probably providing from a program management standpoint, governance standpoint, looking at what are the various aspects that we can do. And finally, align to regulatory compliance, right? If we can probably provide all of that, that is something that a GCC really looks for. And we as Salesforce are trying to align with that, right? Helping the GCCs align with business, align with IT, and then really seeing how they can unlock that power. To this, we came up with a value proposition, and I think this is probably a set of few things, and ones that really stand out. Number one is to drive digital transformation, and we saw that in the previous session. We've seen that as a theme altogether. How can we really participate in that, in technology innovation? Can we really help with POCs for you? Can we really help with, what can the technology really do? What are the new POVs that we can build for you across the stack, across the platform? If, you don't have that, and that's something that HQ is probably pushing, how can we really do that, right? Provide professional and advisory services here in India. Obviously, I'm not probably going to throw in a commercial angle to it, but if, you have to look at resources somewhere, but what is that India can provide? And then, a complete end-to-end accountability. I think this is something that we've really seen take off big way. And finally, business value. I think we've got a team that we've set up, which primarily talks about if you start a transformation initiative, if you start there's a particular technology initiative, looking at baselining that, right? And this could be at a regional level, or it could be at a country level, or if you have to create out a template, right? How do we do that? What is the best process for that? How can we look at, ways in creating that? I think that's something that we really do, and that's an offering that we probably help GCCs with. And finally, adoption. Any technology that's out there, we could probably say that we take you to the moon, but then the proof of the pudding is we are an enabler, and the most important thing is that adoption has to increase. And for adoption to increase, what are the best practices? How can we do that? How can we align with business goals? How can we be very swift in terms of business process changes? How can that be done? I think that's something that we really stress on and try and do. And today, if you look at it, 33% of our organization in India is customer success, right? I think that's something that we're really concentrating on. One other thing that we've seen in the last year or so is help in terms of creating Salesforce COEs, right? I think how do we create COE? And this brings in a whole lot of things. It's got talent there, it's got process, it's got, how do we create, a knowledge management framework? How do we really create those accelerators and agility that, I could really become that I can also help with moving workloads from, HQ to here. I'm really adding value and they look forward to us. So that's another thing that we are seeing, a lot of interest in. And this is something that we are also beginning to really scale on. And finally, training and certification. We've got our academy, we've got Salesforce University. How do we tie that up? Really help the skill gap, reskill, and so on. So that's broadly the services that we put together from a offering standpoint. And finally, I just wanted to touch upon this case study, right, that we have here, right? We started with this customer where we went into them and they said, they obviously, the first thing when we go into a GCC, and I'll be brutally honest here, is that, do I really talk to folks here or do I talk to the folks in HQ? So we've really taken that away and said that, we will first go form that agreement or relationship with our global teams, and we're coming with that. That's something that we've really taken out, and you don't have to bother about that, and we really work on that and look at what are the key customer challenges. And in this particular case that we're working with a global MNC, is skilled resources. The first thing was that, they probably said, this is, first thing that you will have to solve for us. And then came the next thing of, there is this one, I want to probably contribute in terms of looking at how do we, change the pace of I keeping up with my regional center. That is probably there. And then looking at what we actually did a Salesforce day in terms of understanding the various apps that are there, doing a rationalization exercise, doing ROI, baselining, what processes can go, how can we do it better, what, in terms of the shelfware that you probably have and how we can use that better, how can we probably use whatever is there a lot more to that extent, helping with, partnerships in terms of finding the right partners for each product in the suite, because sometimes it can definitely become very overwhelming with the whole, product suite itself. And then, there is also this question of various teams working in silos, right? How do we connect all of them, getting that together? So there were multiple workshops that we did. And then probably after about three to 6 months, right, we were really able to put a wall-to-wall, probably very clear direction in terms of saying that this should be the roadmap, this is how we govern it, this is how you make best utilization of what it is. And then we started seeing, regions coming in and saying that, hey, you could probably move this workload over here, right? And this is a delivery that you could probably do. And, starting to share best practices. And that led to, really scaling up that team. And this is something that they've become like a team that, all countries across the globe are reaching out for their own implementations, looking at what they can do, looking at business, and talking to the other teams from India, how we probably are also getting into those calls. We've got program management folks helping, with the global business teams and getting all of that tied in, putting in a governance mechanism, resource upskill, all of that, right? So clearly driven from looking at a challenge, putting a value framework, and finally leading to an outcome, right? So that's something that we've been doing fairly well. Today, there are about 1,400, GCCs roughly that we've mapped within the country, and we've got at least about 200 of them working with us today, and at various levels of maturity, right? I think that's something that we're doing. It's a team that is clearly dedicated and working for this segment, and we are very keen that we will be able to make more success stories, and at the same time you would be able to deliver that much more to your organization, to your region, and the enterprise as a whole. So thank you very much. I think that was a quick and brief story about Salesforce's GCC offerings, and we look forward to hearing from folks on the call. And thanks for the opportunity.